Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're making this super cute shaped card using a Honeybee Stamps die. This is also a random card, so I randomly generated 3 different of those little numbers. You see that one's R3.9. I randomly generated 3 of those that are in my system. And this is what it picked up. I have a few that aren't labeled, and I actually have that built into the system. So when I got those, I have a bunch of those, so I just picked out of that whole set. I need to add them into my system, but they also go with this whole design series, so I have the whole design series together. And that's what I randomly chose, so I decided to use one of the dies. Now I'm taking that big die and cutting it out. All of the paper I'm using today is from Cricut. It's called Craft Paper, Kraftpaper. I really like it because it's pretty substantial, but not overly thick. It's just really thick, nice weight. It doesn't take water well, though. So that's something to note. If you're going to want to do something with water, I do spray it a little bit, and that's okay, especially if you heat dry it pretty quickly after. But anything more than a slight spritz of water, you're going to want to go ahead and use some watercolor paper. Next, I'm taking this. I've die cut everything out, and I'm going to blend using some Distress Oxides on this paper. And you saw just a minute ago, it's antique linen, brushed corduroy, and I want to say vintage photo, but we'll double check in just a second. And I'm just doing a tri blend with the lightest at the top and the darkest at the bottom. It was really simple. One thing I do want to say is I'm using the Crafter's Companion sponge foams on the bottom. I have switched all of my Distress Oxide ink pad foamy things from the Tim Holtz foams to the Crafter's Companion foams, which doesn't seem like a big deal, and I wouldn't say that you have to do it, but I do think you get I personally get much better results. I also like putting some double-sided adhesive that you can rub off on the back of that paper to hold it down to the board while I am blending. I find those 2 tips really help me out. You also see I go back and forth a time or 2 when I'm blending, and that helps as well. Next, I'm taking those same colors in the same areas and dabbing over top through this damask stencil. And this is a stencil from Prima. I think it's actually called Damask, but any damask stencil will work, obviously. And it's a great point that if you have an electronic die cutting machine, you could probably either create some really cute templates and have the machine electronically die cut it out if this isn't a die you want, because it was like a $35 die. I did buy it when it was 20% off because I'm cheap. If you've been here before, you've heard me say that, but I buy everything on sale. And I did buy it specifically. I bought this one and their little Frappuccino die set as well because I work with a lot of men, and this is actually a card for my coach at my job. And I feel comfortable giving them these sorts of cards. They definitely can be feminine, of course. I wouldn't have minded giving this to a female coworker, but I work in a very male dominated field, and a lot of card making supplies is very girly. And so this was something that I could invest in. There's a Starbucks in our building, so I can easily get a $5, $10, $25 gift card and slip it in, no problem. It does fit into a regular A2 sized card envelope, so that's no problem. That's what I did. I just stuck mine into a Skeleton Leaves Gina K envelope and gave it to him the other day. Next, you'll see I am ink blending just the same way that we did on the front of the card with these two Distress Oxide ink colors, Bundled Sage, and I forget the other one, but we'll check here in a second as well. So next, I'm cutting out these really intricate dies, and these are one of the randomly chosen items. I did cheat a little bit because the first time that I randomized it, it came up with 2 Christmas things. I have a lot of Christmas stamps and dies, and I knew I needed to get this card to my coach, so and that I was going to use the Honeybee die cut. So I randomized it again, and then I got some really good stuff. So that worked out perfectly. So I did cheat a little bit. But to be fair, today is the first day of summer. So, big thing. If you have not seen my giveaway video, I have a giveaway video. It's really simple. All you have to do is fill out a survey. So if you are watching this within the first couple days of this video being out, then I will link that at the end if it's still within the giveaway time, and you can go get one of those 2 $50 gift cards to Simon Says Stamp. It's really simple. You just fill out a survey and you win $50. So let's see. Here I'm doing the same thing as we did on the front of the card. We're just smushing those same colors in the same places through this stencil. On one of them, I did where the circle pattern was centered, and the other one I did it off-centered. The off-centered one I thought was visual. You looked at it and you were like, oh, that looks cool. But on the other one, I knew that was going to be the front and that I was going to have a circle with the sentiment on it. So I wanted that centered so that it drew your eye in. That's why I really liked those little, that triangle pattern. The triangles really point you into the sentiment, which is thanks. Then I tried to figure out how to use this die cut. And I think if I'd done it on some printer paper, I could have slid it behind the little hot holder thing that goes the green part. But with just 80-pound cardstock, it was too thick. So I decided to actually use it as a stencil, which worked out perfectly. I thought this looked really cool. If I did this card again, this exact card, the only thing I would do differently is I would flip that and put it on the bottom and then stamp this stamp, which is the last of the 3 randomly chosen things that we had. We had that damask stencil, the die cut that I stenciled through, and the stamp. I would have switched so the stamp was coming out over the top of that green thing, and the stenciled part was at the bottom. I think it looked a little bit cuter, but all in all, I'm still happy, especially since it's the back. Now I am just putting these little die cut pieces through my Xyron Create-A-Sticker machine. It just puts the adhesive all along the back. And the one thing that I found is I accidentally put the front lid shape on a little wonky, so that was my mistake. So just take your time or use liquid glue where you can adjust that. Now I'm taking some glitter dust And I'm going to glitter dust all of these Distress Oxide pieces. Why do you want to do that? Because I feel like the Distress Oxide kind of comes off on your fingers a little bit. I think the oil in your finger can reactivate it just a tad. I don't know. I didn't want to give that to him and then his hands to be all messy. So putting that on there, one, gives it an awesome gold glittery sheen, and two, seals it. So it dries pretty quick. I did 2 layers and that was it. Next, I'm going to emboss this thanks stamp onto the little circle. All I did was put my embossing buddy on there, which keeps it from being staticky. Stamped down with the VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Poured some clear embossing powder over it, and then heat set it with my tool. Now I'm using some red line tape, and this is very strong double-sided adhesive. You even have to use scissors to just cut it. So I stuck that down on those tiny little flaps, and then I pulled it off, pulled the red part of it off, and to line it up, I sat it on my glass mat and folded it up, and it aligned perfectly. The last couple things I had to do was stick down those pieces I'd run through my Xyron adhesive maker machine, and I did line that up on my cutting mat so that I could align the circle perfectly in the center, but I did tilt the circle so the thanks wasn't perfectly horizontal, just because it kind of went with that feel of the card that I was going for. Easy, chill, fun. So then I stuck this front cap down, and one thing I had a great idea with a minute ago is if you had some lipstick stamp, like a stamp that makes the little, like you kiss something with lipstick on kind of stamp, you could stamp just the bottom lip there on the front top of that white part, and it would look so cute. It looked like a girl was drinking. That might be for a girl card, somebody, card you're giving to a girl, but I think that would be really cute. Some red lipstick. Anyway, here are some pictures, and I tried to get the shine. It was a very shiny card, but it's very hard to photograph that glitter so you can really see it, but you can see that it's kind of slick now, and so you won't have any problems. Here are some other videos, so take a look at those. If you haven't subscribed and you want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Reminder, go check out the giveaway video or click the survey link below. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, guys.